At In Your House 5 on December 17, 1995, one of the stranger debuts in WWE history occurred. As you can imagine, that covers a lot of ground. We start at ringside, where Savio Vega and Santa Claus are throwing out presents to children in the crowd. Already in the ring, though, is the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase, who goes on a rant about Christmas and how anybody can be bought. When DiBiase specifically mentions Savio, he jumps in the ring, bringing Santa with him. Ted gets Savio to tell us all that he believes in Santa, which turns out to be St. Nick's cue to attack Savio, ending with DiBiase and Santa putting the boots to him. The point of this was apparently to prove that everybody has a price for the $1 Million Man. If you were to go to the Wrestling Observer newsletter from that week expecting a trashing of this segment as I was, you might be in for a surprise. A Christmas miracle even. In the Observer, Dave Meltzer actually praised the segment, largely because, quote, "You could see this coming a mile away, but for some reason, I always enjoy Santa Claus angles. Further proof that that man's opinion cannot be trusted, although to be fair, the Alberto Del Rio one hadn't happened yet." On Raw the next night, Ted DiBiase would be interviewed by Brother Love. He would explain that the man who attacked Savio Vega wasn't actually Santa, but Xanta Claus. DiBiase claims that Xanta was from the South Pole, and that instead of giving presents, he, quote, "takes everything he can get his hands on," and that he is officially a part of the $1 Million Corporation, one of the less popular groups in WWE history, even by mid-90s standards. On the very same night, WWE would tape 3 more episodes of Raw, including the January 5th, 96 airing show, which would feature another new member to DiBiase's group, Steve Austin, making his debut as the Ringmaster. The fact that DiBiase announced Xanta's membership implies that there were more plans for him, which is an ambitious thought just 1 week before Christmas. Ted even tells us that Xanta would claim victory after victory over the other superstars, but that would mean he would have to have more than one match. On the December 23rd edition of Superstars, which was taped on December 19th, days after the pay-per-view appearance, Xanta came through the curtain with a unique look, you could say. Gone were the red and white, in favour of black and red jocks, to further announce his heeldom. His heeldom? His heelness, I don't know. On the back of his costume would read the word Xanta Claus, spelled with an X for some reason. If you know the reason why it's spelled that way, let me know in the comments, because I couldn't find out why. At these tapings, Xanta would compete and be victorious in a 1.5 long minute match with Scott Taylor, who was enhancement talent at the time, but would go on to be known as Scotty 2 Hottie. Xanta would win the almost entirely one-sided match with a very high-angle suplex, followed by a camel clutch for the submission victory. This would be Xanta's only televised match, and he would not appear again on screen. Not in this persona, at least. He also wouldn't appear on any of the Christmas to New Year house shows that WWE held, with Savio Vega wrestling Triple H on those, not even a $1 Million Corporation member. On the episode of Ted DiBiase's excellently titled Everybody's Got a Pod podcast that was released on December 22nd, 2023, Ted and his co-host Marcus D'Angelo cover In Your House 5. When speaking about Xanta turning on Savio, Ted doesn't offer much insight beyond saying, "It wasn't the greatest thing that the $1 Million Man was ever involved with." Ted elaborates saying, "I was just rolling my eyes. Not with the guys, but with the guy who was going to be producing that segment. I said, whose idea was this anyway? And they would say, well, Vince. And I said, okay, you're not going to argue with the boss. Well, you might now. But who was the man behind the white wig and beard as WWE's Bad Santa? He was played by a wrestler who had previously wrestled for WWE using his real name, John Reckner. Reckner had appeared a few years earlier on episodes of Superstars, in enhancement matches against the likes of Marty Jannetty, Papa Shango and the Nasty Boys. More recently than that, he had been working in Jim Cornette's promotion, Smoky Mountain Wrestling, there using the name Boo Bradley. Around the mid-90s, many talents came through SMW and made it onto WWE television. Most famously Kane, who wrestled for Cornette as Unabomb, but other future WWE stars such as Al Snow, Bob Holly, D'Lo Brown and the Headbangers among others. So many wrestlers came through SMW and appeared in WWE that according to The Observer, wrestlers had to be told that Cornette was not involved in booking for WWE. He would be later, more notably in the Attitude Era, when he would clash with Vince Russo, but not yet while SMW was still going. Before we move on from Smoky Mountain Wrestling, I just wanted to tell you about one storyline that Boo Bradley was involved with, and also take the opportunity to remind you of some of the serious old school wrestling that Jim Cornette booked in his career. Boo Bradley was a simple character, to put it delicately, and he was being bribed for his services by Sonny to help Chris Candido. At some point, Candido apparently killed the cat in the middle of the ring, the way Earthquake killed Jake the Snake Roberts' snake Damien. Cactus Jack and Boo Bradley would hold a funeral for the cat on television, apparently burying it in a field somewhere. Aye, Jim Cornette booked that. Speaking in an interview in 2002, Reckner noted that he got the gig through working for Jim Cornette in SMW. He spent a year there and described it as the biggest turning point of his career because it developed him into a complete worker. According to Reckner, he was working at a gas station when he got a phone call from Bruce Pritchard, who had a gimmick in mind for him and wanted a meeting. He said Bruce told him, "We're going to sign you for 2 years. We're going to give you this Christmas-like gimmick. It might last anywhere from 3 days, which it did, to 3 months. Maybe we'll blow you off at WrestleMania, which means to end the storyline there. Then we'll keep you under contract, and we'll keep you under a gimmick." On the Xanta gimmick, he says, "They gave me 3 dates, and I see the outfit. Then 3 days before Christmas, I get a phone call from JJ Dillon. Ah well, the character's not working, blah blah blah." JJ goes on to tell John that they'll keep him under contract and he can work indie dates, but only if he uses the Xanta gimmick, which basically puts him out of work, since nobody was going to want to book a Christmas character through the rest of the year. Because there was no guarantee of any work, Reckner requested and was granted his release, with no ill feelings on either side. So what happened after his very brief WWE stint? Where else might you have seen Santa Claus for the rest of the year? Throughout 1996, John Reckner would wrestle using one of his earlier gimmicks, a Buddha Sing. It was in fact a very different time. According to Reckner speaking in 2002, "Larry Sharp didn't know what to do with me, but I'd learned how to breathe fire in college. Sharp then came up with the rest of the gimmick from there." Larry Sharp was Reckner's trainer at the Monster Factory, the same school that graduated wrestlers like The Big Show and Bam Bam Bigelow. John also describes the outfit he wore as like Sabu's outfit before Sabu. Reckner would get a break in his career by the end of '96, ironically in December, where he would adopt a new name and persona. John Reckner would join ECW and become known as the hardcore chair-swinging freak, Balls Mahoney. Balls would debut in ECW on December 7th, 1996, at Holiday Hell, where he would be victorious against Devon Storm, the wrestler later known in WCW as Crowbar. He would first appear on ECW television on the Christmas Eve episode, taking part in a 17-man battle royal that would be won by Sabu. From here, Balls Mahoney would become a mainstay in ECW until the bitter end, wrestling on 89 of ECW's 94 shows in the year of '97. In ECW, Balls would become a 3-time tag team champion, once with Masato Tanaka and twice with Little Spike Dudley, but never with his regular tag team partner, Axel Rotten. His theme song, a cover of Big Balls by AC/DC, would always get the crowd hyped up as they sang along loudly. The next time John Reckner would appear on WWE television would be on the June 6, 2005 episode of Raw. As Balls Mahoney, he would disrupt the show along with a crew of ECW originals in the build-up to the ECW One Night Stand pay-per-view. On the night, Balls wouldn't have a match, but he and Axel Rotten would, with many others, run in during the main event of the show, attacking the Blue World Order. Balls and Axel would receive tryout matches with WWE at Raw tapings in July of 2005, wrestling 2 dark matches, but ultimately not being hired yet. Balls would be brought back to WWE in 2006 for the build-up of not just One Night Stand again, but for the launch of ECW on Sci-Fi. He would have his first televised WWE match since appearing as Xanta Klaus on the one-off special show WWE vs ECW head-to-head, in a battle royal consisting of members of the Raw, SmackDown and ECW rosters. This match would be won by Raw's Big Show, who would turn on his brand, revealing that he had joined ECW, a massive red flag for any fans of the ECW originals. Balls would have a near 2-year run with WWE, being released in April 2008, by way of the words every WWE wrestler dreaded seeing on the homepage of WWE.com. We wish Balls Mahoney the best in his future endeavours. Had Balls not joined ECW in the following year, who knows if Xanta Klaus could have made an annual appearance, much like the Boogeyman still does today at Halloween. Xanta Klaus went on to a very merry rest of his career, wrestling not just for WWE, but also for TNA and all over the indie scene after ECW folded. While Xanta might have been short-lived and forgettable, Balls Mahoney certainly was not. Thank you for watching yet another wrestling channel. If you enjoyed this, please comment, like or subscribe.